see that. There we are. Howard White. Hey, Howard is live. And let's go here. So Lethia, it look like there you are.
I see me. Yay. We are both live.
Hey,
Scoot over some so I can get in the middle.
Yeah, hey, this is new. Like Lethia said, literally we had to pivot here. I had some, I won't name names, but we had some technology issues. We think it was. I don't think it was an operator issue. Sometimes it's an operator error, and other times
I don't think so.
Technology error.
When you got two smart people having the same issue, I don't think it's a user error.
Hey, sometimes that happens, and you just got to work through it, and just like it's no different. You've been on mic in the on stage, and your PowerPoint goes down, or the camera doesn't work, or
But you know what, Howard, and that's why this is so. I'm glad this happened. Right, everything's in divine order because we've been talking about for years. You have to have multiple streams of income, right? And just like this, you have to have multiple avenues to get the job done. If you only got one tool in your tool belt, then you're crippled, right? But if you got multiple tools in your tool belt, when one tool fails, guess what? I can switch and pivot because I have something to pivot to. So having multiple options is always important.
No, it's critical. You're a country girl from down in South Georgia. I'm a country boy from Southeast Mississippi. And as they say, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And
that's
so
right.
You have to have those tools and those other things in your repertoire, a non-Mississippi country word, in your repertoire to do. But, today we're here just spending a little time together, just talking about what has really become the word of the season, pivot, P-I-V-O-T, pivot. And, Lethia, as you think about this, you're an international speaker and you had to pivot. You really had to pivot. So if you would share, what was your first thought? Because the thing we like to say, first, you got to pause, pray, pivot, plan, and then persist and pursue and persist. So talk about that moment you paused when this pandemic happened.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say, Howard, that most people don't pause first. Most people do what first? They panic. And then things start falling apart. So one of the things that I immediately did is I took a pause and I started to just evaluate the environment and the situation. So when you take a moment to pause, you can then begin to look at what's happening, what are the threats, what are the opportunities, where am I positioned in all of this? What are the threats that I need to address? What are the opportunities I need to perhaps evaluate and try to monetize? What are the strengths and weaknesses that I'm bringing to the table so that you can get a really good, just really look at the landscape. And then after you do that, then you can really begin to pray with power because and sometimes people don't pause, they just go straight into prayer. That works too, right? That works too. But I think it's really good to pause so that when you go into prayer, you're going into prayer pretty clear about where you are positioned in all of this. And you can ask for specific things and you can speak to specific things when you've taken.
I got to stop you right there.
Yeah.
You said ask for specific things. Elaborate.
Yeah,
right
absolutely. So once you've done the pause, and you realize, oh goodness, this is a threat coming against me, you can be very specific and say, I pray for a hedge of protection around my finances, right? I pray for healing and health for my family members. You can be very specific in what you begin to pray for. Otherwise, your prayer sounds like, oh Lord, help us, Lord. Lord Jesus, have mercy on us. Lord, we don't know what to do. Right. So that you don't want to pray that kind of prayer. Be very specific with your words and with what you're asking the Lord for. And so that's why I think pausing is so powerful because it allows you to get your posture right. Right. What kind of posture are you coming to prayer with? And so I believe that's and then also the people who are watching you. Right. If you go into panic mode, there are people who are watching you who are only holding it together because they see you holding it together. And so when you are able to pause and then go into prayer powerfully, it's a game changer.
So when you talk about that, they'll talk about that from I like the way you said in posture, and growing up in the church, we took a prayer posture as taking that knee, bowing. And so talk about the posture of a leader that is paused and ready to go into prayer.
Amen. The posture of a leader is a posture of surrender, meaning that I know that there are people who are counting on me, people who are looking to me, but God, you love them more than I do. You can provide for them in ways that I can't. It's not my responsibility to provide for them. I am not their source. I am just a connection. Like even our children, Howard, like we don't own our children. It's, God loves them more than we do, and he knows what they need better than we do. And so when we think about our clients and our children, we have to surrender to whatever his will is. It may not feel good, may not look good, it may not be what we want, but everything is in divine order. Everything is in divine order. And so we have to believe that as we go before him in prayer, and that helps us to come with the right posture of a surrendered posture that says, I am the steward of this vision. I am not the owner of this vision. It is his vision that he's given to me, and it is my responsibility to steward it.
One of the things I love what you just said there. I am the steward. So, I'm not the owner, I'm just a steward. So I will have this vision for a season. And this is not my final vision, but I will have it for a season. And so one of the things that you said there is, and as a speaker that go on stage, I would have to believe that you have a prayer that you utilize when you go on stage. Do you mind sharing that prayer?
Absolutely not. One of the things that I say to myself before I go on stage is I say, I live in miracle territory. I have seen the miraculous works of God with my own eyes. The enemy may be after me, but he is looking for me in places that he can no longer find me, because I am moving at the speed of purpose. And as I say that, I realize that me taking the stage and me taking my position, whether it's on a virtual stage, on a live stage, that if I keep moving into the direction that God is calling me, I will always be able to outrun the devil. I'll always be, because he'll be chasing me, but he'll be looking for me where he last saw me. He can't, I'm moving so fast at the speed of purpose that he can't keep up with me.
Hey, that's faster than the speed of light. So that's they talk about the speed of light, and speed of purpose is a lot more of, I think, faster and focus.
Yes,
it's truly focus.
Yes,
and when you talk about prayer, we talked about those P's as a round pivot, and people talk about prayer. Oftentimes, people go in and, oh Lord, dear Heavenly Father, I need this. I thank you for this, and I want this, and they get up and just take off running. Talk about the second half of prayer, of allowing God to show you where he's guiding you.
Oh my gosh, Howard, I'm so glad you said that, because here's the deal. As prepared as we are, and we come to him with a surrendered posture, the more time we spend in his presence, the more we learn that our posture still isn't correct. So I don't care how much you prepare, when you get into his presence, your posture shifts even more, right? And so that second part of the prayer, your posture is shifting even further, because the more you spend in his presence, not asking him for anything, but just in his presence and allowing him to pour into you, to minister to you, to reveal wisdom and knowledge to you, your posture even further shifts. And what I love about this is that we come out on the other side totally different. And what I mean by this, here's a great example. When you come out on the other side, you are more Christ-like. So when the world happens to you, when life happens, for example, I had a huge opportunity, a huge contract with a huge organization. When they told me I didn't get it, my posture could have shifted. And I could have been like, well, I don't want to talk to you guys. Like, okay, next, I got to get off the phone. We're done, right? But because my posture had been been prepared through prayer, I was able to be sensitive to the situation. And I asked one question that led to an hour-long conversation, and they revealed, I mean, step by step, point by point, why I didn't get the contract, why they chose the other company, all the other companies and how they stacked up and where I was. And I found out I was number 2. And I couldn't have gotten that information had I had a disposition and a posture that was, I'm disappointed. Okay, well, I didn't get this gig, so I'm done with this conversation. But because I had gone through that posturing, the reposturing from prayer, what I learned in that process is that you don't, just praying for the call that I was going to have, God revealed to me that you don't win or lose, you win or learn. So whatever the situation is, you go into that conversation seeking to learn something. And oftentimes when we think about loss and what we've, gone through, we think about and focus on what we've lost from the devastation, or from the challenge, or from the situation. But what if instead we focused on what we gained? Because even when we lose something, we're gaining. When I lost my mother, I gained clarity around my purpose. Because after my mother passed, life became sacred. And I said, Lethia, what do you really want to do? I mean, you're doing this and making money, but what do you really want to do? And I don't know if I would have asked that question at that moment.
And I like to take that question a little deeper is, who do you really want to serve? And that is the real part of that, because oftentimes people say, I want to do this, but no, who do you really want to serve? And through that service, good things will come back to you.
And so, Howard, look at this, though. I'm glad you said that. I just love talking to you, first of all. Can I say I love having great conversation with great people like you. So the question is, who do you want to serve, right? But here's the deal. I think about who I want to serve, the people that I want to serve that are my next level clients, right? Mm-hmm. I have to be a different person to attract that different client. So we can ask, who do you want to serve? But I also got to ask, who do I want to become?
Well, who are you prepared to serve?
Right. See, that's exactly. That's the question.
You got to be prepared to serve them. Mm-hmm. So to serve at the next level, you must be prepared to serve at the next level. You must be a next level steward. And so there are certain skill sets that are required for the next level. And, no matter what that is. And so, oftentimes I've heard people through this here, clients and that I've talked to that are going through the pandemic, and we all are. This is unique in our lifetime because typically there's a disaster in one part of the country. There may be a flood or a tornado, and it's just an area. But here the whole world is facing the same thing. And so they've had to pause and pray, hopefully. And now they're starting to pivot and say, okay, everybody's saying it's a new norm. I like to say it's a now norm.
Amen.
Because there's a now norm, and then there's a next norm, and then there will be a new norm. I don't know the timing of it. None of us know. Mm-hmm. But talk about how you recognize pivots and how do you really recognize them and then begin to put them in a place that you can work and grow them.
Yeah, so one of the things I do, I teach at the University, Washington University, and I teach in their Masters of Engineering Management program. So I teach basically marketing to a whole bunch of really, really smart technical people, right?
Yeah, and they're master engineers. They first they had to get out of undergrad, and then they had to get accepted in. And then they said, I still want even more of this stuff.
Right. And WashU is an Ivy League school. So with that said, I realized that I could pick a textbook, but I didn't want to pick a textbook. I picked some of the best business books, right? And one of the business books that I use to teach marketing is Blue Ocean. And I'm sure you're probably familiar with Blue Ocean strategy, but when we're pivoting, those are some of the things that we really need to be focusing on. Is there is saturation in the market with regards to, if you think about the coaches and the speakers and the thought leaders and the consultants and the authors, like that space, there's a lot of noise. So it feels very crowded and saturated right now. But in almost every market, there is a blue ocean. And the game changers who are looking not to go left where everyone else is going. They're not following the trend of, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. They're listening to the beat of their own drum, and they're saying, this is who I'm called to serve. This is who I want to be. And this is who I'm becoming. Now, how can I serve who I'm called to serve and listen to more inward than listening to outward? And we look to outward sometimes to give us insights. But when we're thinking about direction, I think it's really, really important for us to have the courage to do perhaps what's never been done. And that means that sometimes when we're looking to create blue ocean, we may do something that everybody else says, that's crazy. Like, why would you do that? Right. I know you've had a couple of those ideas, and we talked about, sometimes our ideas.
Yeah, we talked about sometimes timing, or, we talked about it as we were going through this technical challenge here.
Yeah. But even in that, finding your blue ocean, right? So I have an escape training game that I created, and it was a huge hit with corporate America. So I basically take all my equipment in. It's people gather around a table, and each table has their kit and it has all these things in it, right? And it was great. But guess what? I can't go to a company. I can't go to Enterprise in October. Well, maybe I can still go. We're hoping so. But I have a booking with Enterprise, but I may not be able to go there physically and do my presentation. So what I had to do is pivot and take that escape training game, and I've had to take it all online. So now I have this online training game where you go into a Zoom breakout room. So all those tables that I used to have physically in a room, I now am breaking them up into Zoom training rooms, right? The Zoom breakout rooms, so that they can still have their private space to work on their escape training game. But then at the end, we come back together as a large group and we do our debrief. And it's all about personal branding. So I've had to create a blue ocean. So how many speakers do you know that have a virtual training game that they use with corporate America? We could probably count them on our hands and toes max in the whole US, right?
Okay. Yeah. I think we got it right there. Not many.
Right. Not many. So that's a blue ocean. I took something that, people were doing one way, escape rooms, and I pivoted and turned it, first of all, into escape training game for corporate America, because escape rooms were trying to get companies to come to them. But I said, what if I could create a game and take it to the companies? And so I do a 1-hour keynote. Then we play the game for an hour in a breakout room, and then I do a 30-minute debrief. So now I've taken my keynote from a $10,000 keynote, added on top of that an additional $500 to $7,500 for the game. So now it's almost a $20,000 day because I was able to pivot.
Well, you went from a $10,000 keynote to a $20,000 experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because everyone's used to receiving a keynote, but the experience in their own environment or at that resort or wherever you were, they did not necessarily had received that before.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things, because I know you have a lot of ideas. I have not been that long met you. Well, we met a long time ago, but we just didn't connect. God's timing, as we always say. And so oftentimes I hear people say, I had that idea or I lost that idea. How do you, and I call those pivot ideas because, we're focusing on pivoting during a pandemic. But as I told someone yesterday, I said, you have survived every pandemic that you face. They looked at me, huh? I said, yeah, because you're here right now. We're talking. So I know you've overcome a lot of challenges. We've all had challenges in our lives. And so, but how do you not lose those voices you hear, those ideas you hear? What is your strategy?
So one of the things, Howard, I would always whine and complain earlier on in my career. And I was saying, God, as a speaker, I would say, he has such a great talk. And if you just think about Willie Jolly, I've only got a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it is up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it. Give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but an eternity is in it. And I'm like, man, why couldn't I have found that quote first, right? But here's the deal. What God told me is that he says, it's not that, you don't have those kinds of ideas because I didn't give them to you. You don't have those kind of ideas to put in practice because you're not disciplined to write them down and to sit in quiet and allow them to percolate and allow them to develop. You want things like this. If I give you something, like God would give me something, Howard, and I'd be like, pew, you know, right. I gave you the what. I didn't give you the when, the how, the who, or the why.
And more importantly, the why. You know, I think
right,
that is what we really have to get. You know, my favorite acronym is why. What helps you? And so understanding your why is what really helps you, and that's so key. So what tools, techniques, and strategies are just tools and techniques you use to really capture those things and help those marinate. You know, if you're cooking, you put the meat in a pan a day or two before, and it just tastes totally different because all of those sauces and stuff have marinated into it. So talk about marinating an idea.
So I am in transition right now, but I have a little black book.
Mm-hmm.
And my little black book is so important to me that I would give up to $1,000 for someone to return it to me if it were ever lost. And they're basically just little moleskin little journals, just little moleskin journals.
Hey, I want to show you something. If lost, please return the Howard White dollars rewarded.
And so I have my little black book that when I think of something or I'm processing, I'm just writing it down. You could call it journaling. You can call it doodling. You could call it note taking or whatever you want. But I've learned the discipline of getting it out of my head and getting it out onto paper. I'm now experimenting with a new tool that seems really, really, really promising. And it basically allows you to just get things out of your head and to document them in such a way that it's kind of hard to explain. But anyway, I'm testing it out because I love the idea of being able to search. So that's the only problem with my little black book is it's very, like when I write it, it's anchored. It is in me. It is like there forever. But then I go and type it. So I usually will spend like Saturday mornings taking whatever I've entered into my little black book that week, and as a discipline, just typing it in so that I can search it, right? So I know it's there, but then it's like, what was
you can go and get it when you want. Have
right,
it on recall easily versus flipping back. Okay, now what date was that again?
Oh, that was before that conference.
Was that when I was down at such and such? You know, you really have to think through that. You know,
I've lost my black book before. So what happens when you I actually misplaced it, but for a period it was gone, and like my heart was like, oh my, like my plan for I think it was 2016 or 2015 or something where it was in there, and I was like, oh my plan for my 2016 was in there and I hadn't put it in the computer yet, and it was like devastating. So so writing it or getting it into a computer is so important.
Yeah, I left one at a hotel, Lethia, and I actually called the people, paid them to ship it to me. Go in my room, look where I said it. I think it's right by the nightstand because it may have fell on the floor if the housekeeping doesn't have it. And it was right between the bed and because I remember the night before I put it there. And you know, if you're listening and you're thinking about that, definitely your black book, online tools such as Evernote is that is my beast because I can, you know, shoot things into it, and it has a catalog. I mean, it's a digital filing cabinet. That's really what it is. But so now, as you have those ideas, you know, let's briefly, not briefly, let's get into talking about the plan, because the ideas are great, but without a plan, you know, you don't have a launch pad. Without the plan, there's no diving board. You know, you're just jumping out the edge versus springing out into the real deep and high. So talk about taking those ideas and formulating a plan, especially around things that have never been.
Yeah. So when you are generating ideas, one of the things that I love to do is I'm really bold and audacious, and I'll jump off of a ledge. I mean, like I'm just like that kind of person, right? But out of what I've learned through wisdom is having a community where you can test ideas, where you can proof ideas, where you can develop ideas is so valuable. And I created the Women of Audacious Faith in part for that purpose. I wanted a space where people could do that. And so when you think about implementing, sometimes people don't implement because they don't know either where to start, or they're overwhelmed, or they don't feel like they have the tools or the equipment to do what it is that they say they want to do. They have the idea, but getting from this side of the, the mountain to
From
this
idea
side,
to implementation.
sometimes
How
it
do you
feels
get
like
through
a
all that
million.
information to get there?
Right,
Now, that's the thing
right.
that, I often say, and this is my phrase, and it was one of those ideas God gave me that just marinated. It's a set of eyes. So ideas, once you have the idea, you got to go through information to implementation for impact in order to have income.
Amen.
Because if
Yeah.
the
And with that
idea,
comes
if the
influence.
impact, if the implementation doesn't have impact and the marketplace doesn't want it, it doesn't matter. And so it
Yeah.
goes back to service. And so,
Yeah.
talk about putting that blue ocean plan together. I think that's what we'll call it, the blue ocean plan together. How do
Yeah.
you be bold in, calling out to your community and challenging them to, because oftentimes when it's something so new and bold, it's hard for people to see past the boldness of it.
Yeah. So I think that, when we look at Marianne Williamson's, that you're, what does she say? You are, successful beyond measure, I believe it is. But she talks about not letting your light shine, not dimming your light so that
Right.
others don't feel uncomfortable or intimidated around you, because we're not really helping them when we do that. But when we do let our light shine, we're giving other people permission to do the same. So one of the things that I think we need to make a commitment to is to be who we are on purpose and without apology. Like, be your powerful self on purpose and without apology. And there will be some people who don't like it, some people who don't get it, some people will call it something that it is not, right? But and I was doing an interview earlier today, Howard, and I told the woman, I said, I'm not saying this to you out of arrogance. I'm saying this to you out of a strong conviction of who I am meant to be on this planet. So I can say this with authority and with my whole heart, because I know I have been put on this planet to help people reach their next level. Like, my gift is next level. If you have a 5-minute conversation with me, whatever we're talking about, we'll advance to the next level. Even if it's just an ideation, right? That is my gift. And so if people will, really take stock of their capacity and their capabilities, right? And then look at what it takes to courageously move out of their comfort zone and really do what it is that they're called to do, they'll find themselves really leaving a mark or making an impact with the people that they're called to serve. And so when we think about pivoting, right, and the need to go from what you know to this unknown, right?
Yeah.
I said community is really, really important. So community, having courage, right, is really important. Taking stock of your capabilities and your capacity is really important. But then we got to look at your ability to communicate who you are and what you have to offer of value. And unfortunately, Howard, there are a lot of people who have not yet discovered their voice. I remember as a new speaker, I was regurgitating whatever I had read from someone else. I didn't have my own. I didn't have my own content. I didn't have my own stuff. I was just regurgitating what I'd been told,
Well, no, you
what
were
I'd
afraid to
learned.
let it come out, Lethia.
It was,
I went through the
yeah,
same thing. I was like, Howard, you gotta speak your voice. You're not a Les Brown. You're not this. So be Howard White.
yes,
Be Howard White. It's already in you. Let it come out.
yeah,
No.
it's right. And so a lot of people haven't found their voice. So they're borrowing the voice of someone else. But here's the deal. When you borrow someone else's voice, it will never be as powerful as the voice that you've been given by birth, right? So you may borrow someone else's voice, but people won't feel it the way they feel it when you say what it is that you have to say. So like that prayer that I just shared with you, right?
Yeah.
People feel that. When I pray that, when I say that prayer, if I say it, publicly or share it with someone, they feel it. Why? Because it has my imprint all over it. It is so me, right? And so that's what we got to give the world. We got to give the world the best of who we are, not the best of, I can't give the world the best of Howard White, because if I do, it's going to be an imitation of the real deal, and the imitation never tastes as sweet. It's never as smooth as the real deal.
Ain't nothing like a good cup of sugar. I don't care what
Right.
they say about Splenda and all that other stuff. Ain't nothing like some sugar on that stuff.
That's
I always
right. That's
say,
right.
be the best you possible, because if you try to be anybody else, you can only be second best, and
That's right.
that is what you really communicated that well. So now, as you have gone in and pivot, and you have these ideas, you have this plan, it's time to launch out. And as at the time of this recording, states are beginning opening up, and I won't get into that debate, but people are beginning to look at what's next. So they're launching out, and one of the things I said, and it was in a conversation with you, and yes, I've taken it and run with it, is you got to have your own PPP, your own personal playbook. Somebody said, well, what about a plan? I said, a lot of times plans sit on a shelf. When you build a house, the plan stays on the shelf. But the playbook goes in the game with you. Coaches carry that playbook, that big sheet, that play sheet there is from the
That's
playbook.
right. That's
So
right.
talk about really pursuing that plan and being persistent as you walk through with that boldness.
I think the thing that will kill or lift what you're trying to do are your habits. And so your morning rituals and routines, your evening ritual and routines. When I look at the most successful people, Howard, who have implemented some of the most complex ideas and some of the simplest ideas, like 4-hour work week, how simple is that? Tim Ferriss and I were sitting in the corner. I remember talking to him, and he was like, Lethia, you got to build a WordPress website. And I'm like, dude, I code from scratch. WordPress ain't coding. He's like, no. Let me tell you why. And he gave me all the reasons why. And WordPress was so simple, right? Just like his 4-hour work week idea. But I didn't want to hear it at first because I felt like success was, it's not real coding if you're not coding it from scratch or whatever. But when you look at the most successful people, right, they have habits, rituals, and routines. They have rituals and routines that formulate habits that give them the results that we watch them experience. So if you really want the results that other people who are working hard and who are working smarter are experiencing, pull back the covers and ask, how are they living their lives? Not just what they're doing in front of you, but how are they living their lives? Like Brendan Burchard told me, he said, my wife and I go away on a minimum of a week-long vacation every 9 weeks. Some of us don't do that every 9 months. He actually got invited.
Every 9 years, unfortunately.
Right. He was invited to speak on a national TV show, and he turned it down because it was during the week that he had committed to his wife. He says nothing will ever come between my wife and I on that week. And it's pre-scheduled, so we know when it is. And if an opportunity that seems like a once in a lifetime, guess what? Well, not this lifetime, right? And so the ability, right? And so just hearing him say that and learning from him about how he and his wife have really established their relationship, I learned some stuff, not by just what he taught me on stage, but by him telling me, hey, I want you to look into every time you look into the whites of your husband's eyes, I want you to think 3 words. And those 3 words will shape your posture when you meet him. So when my husband worked in corporate America, if I wasn't on a call, when he walked through when I heard the garage door come up, I was at the door waiting on him. And I would say those 3 words, loved, valued, respected, in my head. I never said it to him, but that's how I wanted him to feel when he came home. I didn't learn that because he said it on a stage somewhere. I learned it by watching his life. So when we look at how we're doing business, it's not just about how you're showing up in front of your clients. It's not just about how you're showing up on a Facebook Live. It's about how you're living your life. And so those rituals and routines will formulate those habits that will give you the results that you so desperately desire. But you got to think about who you're being, who you're showing up as in the world.
Share a couple of the habits that's going to serve you well as you launch out into this next norm.
Mm-hmm. One of the big new habits that I'm forming is a great reduction on how much TV I watch. And when I think about the things that I want to accomplish, and I look at how much TV I've watched in the past, I actually get ticked off, Howard. I feel I can't be mad at nobody but me, but I feel kind of robbed and ticked off when I think about how many hours I gave to mindless TV that did not edify me at all.
Hey, those
Edify me at
reruns that
all.
we love, I
Oh my
already
God.
know how they're going to come out, and you'd be like,
The other habit is taking care of my temple. So I am looking at, what am I doing to take care of this physical body? Because it doesn't matter what's in my head or in my heart if my physical body can't keep up with the pace at which God is causing me to dream. So if my physical body can't handle the purpose that God is giving to me, he will give it to someone else who has the physical stamina to actually do
yeah.
it, right? And so taking care of my body is another way that I'm preparing and disciplining myself to really show up the way I need to.
Now, that's some great stuff. As we talk about it and we'll kind of close it out, we then spend a lot of time about the Pivot Conference, and that is one of the ways God brought us together. And, the Pivot Conference was born out of, we've talked about it, but we didn't bring the name up. Those P's are the cornerstones of the Pivot Conference. And how do we help business owners and business leaders pivot their business online? Okay, because we realize that this next norm and the new norm, online is going to be a big portion of it. I don't know how much, but you're going to have a large part of your business virtual. And so, trainers like Lethia are going to be helping you because, and then the other thing is a new platform that's out there that allows you to have a real conference. You mentioned a summit, which is typically a speech after speech after speech spread over 5 days or 10 days. We're talking 4 international keynoters. I mean, these are ladies and gentlemen that have traveled the world speaking, helping people, and then 20 trainers. So we got workshops, just like at a conference. You can say, hey, I want to go in this room. Okay, if you don't like what you're getting there, you can go into another room at the same time. So your day is well spent. But talk about just one thing that you're going to help people walk away with at the Pivot Conference.
So, Howard, I am releasing only at the Pivot Conference. The Pivot Conference will
Hold on, quiet, please. Quiet. Okay, all right, quiet. Okay, Lethia, the floor is yours so everybody can hear this.
That's right. This is the first place I am revealing my virtual 10X blueprint. A blueprint to help you 10X your impact and income. I've been working feverishly, tirelessly on this blueprint to take all of the things that I know and have learned around really taking your expertise from live to an online platform so that you can 10X your reach, your impact, your income, and your ability to serve people. I am revealing it only for the first time ever at the Pivot Conference.
Hey, so yeah, definitely. We're finalizing the schedule over the next couple of days, so we'll be able to tell you around that time frame in which, and it's just going to be a unique format where, Lethia is going to teach on it or speak on it from the stage, but then she's going to go dive into a workshop room where she can really, roll up the sleeves and give you a lot more during that time frame, and then you'll be able to connect with her and say, okay, yes, I want a 10X.
Yes.
I want a 10X.
I just want to say I am busting at the seams. I am so full and so ready to release what I have to share, Howard. I mean, I don't think they're going to be ready. And I'm not saying this lightly. I don't think they're going to be ready. I have so much to share that people need to hear in this season. And so if you are ready to pivot your life and your business, and you're really ready to step up to your next level, I want to encourage you. I want to challenge you. Not only to come, but bring your team, your community. See, it's one thing for you to learn this information. Right? It's one thing for you to learn this information, but if you bring your tribe and your posse, the people that you mastermind with and talk to and you hang with, if all of you elevate at the same time, woo, game changer.
You said a word there. I mean, we We don't like to vacation alone. We don't like to eat alone. We don't like to hang out alone. But then we want to try to learn alone. We want to try to grow alone. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, just think about it. Things I name, you don't just go off and do that by yourself.
Nope.
Hey, honey, I'm going out to grab a bite to eat. You stay here. I'm going to go by myself.
Right.
You'd be like, hold up a minute.
Right.
What's up with that?
Right. But how I was telling my husband, our conversation from last week, earlier, I can't remember exactly when it was, but our previous conversation, I said, I did not expect to be on the phone with you that long. Because you called and I don't know what we were doing, but you shared some stuff with me that I was like, man, because you're hanging around other bright people who also have elevated, who've done the work, like it sharpens my, iron sharpening iron. I am sharpened because of it. So when you get your posse together and you guys make a commitment together, I challenge you to come to the Pivot Conference together and then go back to your mastermind and put into practice what you've learned. Email me and tell me if it doesn't make a difference in your life.
Hey, come pivot with your posse, okay? Come pivot with your posse, all right?
Hashtag pivot with your posse.
All right, pivot with your posse. I mean, hey. Talking about TV, but that was a good movie. That was worth watching there. So the Posse Squad from FAMU. And so you think about that. Lethia, I would be remiss if I didn't, because the Pivot Conference is a little bit away. So people may say, hey, I want to get not even a sample of the 10X. Maybe if I could just get some of the scraps that were on the floor that's not part of the plan, and I want to connect with Lethia. How can they connect with you, Lethia?
So the best way is to text 636-266-0212, right? If you text the word pivot to that number, you'll be put onto my list, and I have a Zoom training that I'll be releasing soon that I am selling to the world, but you will get absolutely free.
And see, first of all, if you missed that, it's 636-266-0212. And you're going to text the word pivot. That's PIVOT, okay? Just in case my Mississippi accent came out. That's PIVOT, the letter O. And so, you talk about Zoom, Zoom has become a verb. And I was telling someone, you made it when you're a verb. Google, I'm going to tweet you. And so you're a verb. But the principles that Lethia is going to teach you in that training are transferable across other platforms. Principles are few, processes are many. And so it's the same principles that are used elsewhere. And if you understand that, you can transfer it. So make sure you text the word pivot to 636-266-0212, because here's what's going to happen. If you go ahead and connect with Lethia now, when you come to the Pivot Conference, you're going to be on a different platform. So your next level will be 2 or 3 levels higher than it is today. Okay. So that is the way it works. That is why when you work with your coach and you work with people every year, they bring more out of you, because actually you're standing at a higher level. And so, Lethia, as we get ready to close out, I want to be respectful of your time. We could talk a long time here, and I'm going to have to meet your husband sometime soon.
Yes, and your wife likewise.
And yes, definitely. I think my wife, she did stick her head in here because she was looking for our son, saying, where's he at? Especially, this season can't be hanging out. But just share one last word around, just really whatever is on your heart. I won't even put walls around it. Whatever's on your heart as it relates to what Lethia wants the world to know.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to wake up. And when I say wake up, many of us are asleep at the wheel. We've been in such a autopilot mode of operating in our businesses and our lives. And I just want you to wake up and really, really, really look at who you were created to be. And then find the courage to be that person. Because there's someone somewhere in the world waiting on you to figure it out and to become that person so you can solve their problem.
someone's waiting for you to be that person.
Amen. Yes.
And
Yes.
so grow up, move to your next level. Grow up. I didn't say go up. I said grow up.
Grow up.
And get ready to pivot with your posse. Pivot.
That's
That's
right.
a TikTok there. Pivot with your posse. Pivot with your
I'm
posse.
we have us a theme song.
Huh?
We have us a theme song.
Hey, we might have to do that. We might have to get our favorite books. Hey, we're gonna pivot with a posse. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna toss my book over to you. Boom.
I love it. I love it.
You toss it to somebody else, and then comes back around. We got 1 minute to do that, and we can get a good 6 people in that one.
Yeah. One other thing I just want to say real quickly, Howard, sometimes there's a glitch with text messaging, and if you put your number in if you text the number and you don't get a response back, what I will do is we'll be sending you. I'll contact you or contact everyone just in case with a text message from my personal, just to make sure everyone did receive the information. So I just want to let them know that if they don't hear anything immediately, don't worry. Tomorrow I'll go in and look at everyone because I get the messages. Sometimes people say they didn't get the reply message. So so we'll work through that. But yeah, so just wanted to share that. And just thanks again for the opportunity to pour into your community. I can't wait to share this interview with my tribe and my community. They're always interested in growing and together and learning together. So I can't wait to share it.
Yeah, my posse. Hey, my pivot posse. That's what I'm looking for. Hey, we're looking for a few good people that really, really want to pivot to another level, to their next level.
Yes.
So definitely. Lethia, thanks a lot. Tell your husband thanks again for allowing us to run over a little bit and work through these technical challenges. So as you go back out and continue to serve over these next few days before the Pivot Conference, I challenge anyone listening to go ahead to the pivotconference.com, the pivotconference.com, or you can hit the link above and go ahead and connect, be there. I mean, it's a very small investment. It's not even a fee. It's a small investment. And even as cheap as gas is these days, it's less than a tank of gas.
Come on, pizza. Like, give up your pizza for the week and come and feed your brain. Feed your brain.
You're going to get a whole lot more out of it. And you're not going to Starbucks right now. So, there's no excuse for it. But when you look at the lineup that's there, and we've got a few more we're adding, just, working out a few last minute things. And God is putting people that I didn't know. The thing about this is I've met more dynamic people. I mean, some international people are coming in, that are north of the border. A couple great dynamic speakers and trainers more so. I love training because, you can get me excited, but I want you to give me some fuel to get home with.
That's right. That's right.
And once I get back, at least for a little while, and then I'll reach back out to you and get some more. And that is what, our trainers are. They're great speakers, but more importantly, they're even gooder trainers. That's right. They're even gooder. I know that's incorrect. Ms. Posey is looking down on me saying, I taught that boy better than that. But Pivot Conference, just simply THE, pivotconference.com, or click the link here. And remember, if you can't wait, and what you should not wait, make sure you connect with Lethia even before the Pivot Conference, and you just text the word pivot to 636-266-0212, and you and your Pivot Posse can get down. Share that with your Pivot Posse. Text that to your Pivot Posse. Say, hey, y'all need to get on this pivot train here. This is a pivot party going on. So we don't have a pivot party.
Tell them the date. So I don't think we mentioned the date
yet. We
did
not. Gosh, I didn't have that written down. So it is Saturday the 16th. So like we said, it's a true conference. So we're starting at 9 a.m. Central Time. It's scheduled to end at 6, which we'll get through the programming. But the beautiful part about the session, we're going to have some after-party happy hour rooms, and where you just go in and have conversation with like-minded people. And so conversation 1, conversation 2 over here. You just go in and find in, get in where you fit in and enjoy really rehashing. And because you're going to miss something, there are going to be some discussions that happen that just going to feed you in a different way. It's kind of like the dessert to the main meal. The conference is the meal, and you got that dessert and a good cup of coffee, and you really just enjoy it, sitting there talking and enjoy it. But the platform that we're utilizing will allow us to do that, and you're going to have some one-to-one networking. So that's the other part. Lethia, I was on the platform for someone invited me. I met someone from Toronto, Vancouver, UK, Germany, and a guy that was from Baton Rouge, but he was a professor in Georgia, all in about a 2-hour window, and then some training.
Yeah. Same
That
here.
Heck out of getting on a plane.
Yeah, Brazil. I've connected with people from Brazil, from London, from Bolivia. I mean, just beautiful people, right? And you wouldn't. I mean, we have so much in common in regards to our passions and our interests, and it was just so beautiful to be able to connect with people from all over the world through the networking.
That's the beautiful thing about it. You're going to realize that we're all the same, and people that really want to serve are all the same. So that is. Let me give you the details one more time. May the 16th, just go to thepivotconference.com. You'll see our dynamic keynoters. You'll see some of the trainers. You'll see the 5 different tracks. We're talking marketing, sales, content creation, social media, and then tech tools and apps. So I need to call the people from StreamYard and say, hey guys, we need y'all at the Pivot Conference because y'all saved the day. Y'all made it easy for a brother. And as we call them tech tools, my wife called them tech toys. What toy are you getting today? What toy are you getting this week? So that's May the 16th. And just go over to the Pivot Conference. And trust me, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to learn. And you're going to grow.
Yeah.
If you do those things, it's going to be a great, great thing. Lethia, thanks again. And I got to go work on my pivot posse. What to think about that as a TikTok. I promised some kids that I mentored that I would do a TikTok. So if I hit you up and say, hey, I need 8 seconds of we talk about our pivot posse, that could be the TikTok for the party.
That's right. That's right.
I got DJ 5-Star. I'm gonna hit him up for some beats. He's coming down. Jonathan Sprinkle's coming down. Mr. Connection. Cheryl Woods. I mean, those are just, gosh, I can't get the name because I have to name everybody because everybody's good.
Yeah.
In their own right, and they serve from a place of wanting to help, and that is what Lethia started out with when she talked about. Her mother leaving, but then that really released some things for her to really serve and honor her mother at an even higher level. And I know she's looking down saying, hey, that's my girl. Hey, y'all. Hey, Jesus, I told you that's my girl. I told you she's going to be doing what she's supposed to do. Peter, that girl showing out down at the Pivot Conference. She in her Pivot Posse. And so, that is where we really, really want to be. So I challenge you as you grow and you go through this season, or you grow through this season, ask yourself, have I paused? Did I choose to pray? And did I have the proper position and posture as I prayed? And did I hear the things that I should pivot around? See, pivot is a center point. It's just one point. It's like the fulcrum. It is one point. And then you got to have a plan in which you persist out and pursue and just pursue and continue to do that again, because it's a process. So enjoy the process, but continue to serve on purpose. Lethia, it's been a pleasure being here with you. And as I always like to lead people, I challenge them to go out and be the best they can be, because if they try to be anybody else, they'll only be second place and second best. And the view doesn't change in second place. You always somebody's backside. So with that one, have an awesome one, and we will be in touch. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye,
Take
everyone.
Care. And I'll get the video to you. All right. Let's see if we get this right here.